Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. So in this week's video, unfortunately, I've got some bad news for us Amazon sellers, but at the same time, it's important that I share it with you guys. I don't want to pretend this isn't happening. I don't want anyone to have any shocks or surprises. If you're an Amazon seller at the moment or you're considering starting an Amazon FBA business in 2024, you need to be aware of this as it does have the potential to have an impact on your business. So let me take you through a few emails first that I want to show you. And I'm going to try and explain what is happening and why it's happening, and then you guys can start making your own plans. So over the past few weeks, I've been getting very frequent emails from one of my freight forwarders with new rate cards seemingly on a weekly basis. Now, freight rates don't usually change this often unless there's a problem. So in the middle of April, so about 6 weeks ago, we were only paying about £165 per cubic metre of goods, which by historic standards is still quite high. But this has been going up, so 177 at the start of May, then 192, and then in the most recent one, we're up to £200 per cubic metre of goods. And if you're importing large quantities from China to the UK, that's going to really push up your freight costs. It's going to really eat into your profit margins. Now, this isn't the first time it's happened. It's happened during COVID when rates got up to over £300 per cubic metre, and it's costing an absolute fortune to import goods from China. But things were calming down over, throughout 2023, things were calming down. And in December 2023, rates were as low as £120 per cubic metre. But then we had the Red Sea crisis. If you remember, we had container ships attacked in the Red Sea, so they couldn't use the Suez Canal. So the container freight rates rocketed up, and within the space of a couple of weeks, we went from 120 to a peak of £205. But then things started to come back down again, and we all thought things were fine. However, what we're seeing now, if we go to this news article, you can see that the World Container Index increased 16% last week to over $4,000 per 40-foot container. And you can see in the line chart here, we had the peak, the Red Sea peak here, which was at the end of 2023 into the early part of 2024. Prices started to come back down, and now they're skyrocketing again. So what is actually happening? Well, if I take you over to another article, you can see what they're saying. Sudden container crunch sends ocean freight rates soaring, setting off global trade alarm bells. So you're seeing a lot of news articles at the moment talking about inflation coming down. If freight prices stay high and continue to go up, which when you look at this, that line is heading in the wrong direction, inflation could easily be making its way back later on in this year. So an ocean container capacity crunch has hit global trade just as peak shipping season starts, with freight spot rates up some 30% over the past few weeks and heading higher. Bad weather, longer ocean transits, and vessels skipping ports are adding to the supply chain issues. Freight intelligence firm Zenita is warning that the rates could rise through June, and the dramatic rise will surpass the Red Sea spike, ultimately hitting consumer prices. So like I said, potentially inflation, but also surpassing the Red Sea spike, which is, well, we're basically there now, aren't we? It looks like we're back to where we were at the end of 2023, early 2024, and it looks like we're going to be heading above that. So freight costs are going up, your cubic meter costs. Most new sellers aren't going to be bringing in a whole container. So you want to focus on that cubic meter cost, and you can see at the moment, we're at £200 per cubic meter. Now, when I started selling back in 2018, that was probably £60 to £80 per cubic meter, so costs are higher. And this has two major impacts for new sellers. Number one, obviously, it's going to eat into your profit margins, as we can put up our prices a little bit, but we can't often offset them completely. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be competitive against some of the other sellers, especially the Chinese sellers, who are unlikely to be increasing their prices, as the Chinese sellers get very cheap shipping from China, and some of that is subsidized by the Chinese government as well. So as a new seller or an existing seller, this is going to eat into your profits a little bit. The other thing to be aware of is it's going to increase your overall financial risks and the amount of money you need to start your own Amazon FBA business. So starting an Amazon FBA business usually costs a lot more than people realize in the first place. I've made videos about this in the past. I've actually a video that might be helpful for you guys that are considering Amazon FBA. If you go to fbaelite.com, click on the course link, and then on the course website, go to preview course in the top right hand corner there. And what I've got at the moment is the first module is free for you guys to watch, and video number 7 does a deep dive into how much money you need to start an Amazon FBA business. So I'd strongly recommend anyone giving that a watch before considering starting Amazon FBA, so they know what they are getting into. And if you're interested in the course, you can scroll down to the very bottom, click that arrow, and you can see all of the videos that are included in the FBA Elite course. So hopefully that will help you get an understanding of how much money you need to start an Amazon FBA business. But the key takeaway from this video at the moment is that freight rates are up. You need to keep an eye on this. If you've already done your profit calculations for a product you're looking at maybe a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago, run them again based on the latest rates, because for some products, this could be a deal breaker. If you've got quite a large product, these type of increases could potentially, add £1 to £2 per unit to your overall landed cost. So definitely look into this. Definitely follow this closely, as I don't think rates are going to be suddenly going to come down over the summer. As from the research I've been doing today, there's an awful lot of demand from Western routes at the moment. So I'm expecting rates to stay quite high throughout the rest of the year. Obviously, you can never predict the future, but certainly plan for them to remain about where they are at the moment, maybe £200 per cubic meter. But predicting, that prediction we've just seen, they reckon it could go higher. And if the previous peak was 205, maybe we're going to see 210, 220, 230, maybe higher. But certainly keep track of this. Always be checking your profit margins. Always be checking your cost. Don't get into positions where you've ordered thousands of units of stock and you're trying to sell them on Amazon and you've got no margin. You've got no return on investment left because of things like this eating into your profit margins. Now, if that hasn't put you off starting your own Amazon FBA business, I've got a step-by-step guide that you can follow that will show you how to make your first £100,000. I'm going to pop up that video now and I'll see you guys over there.